Hey there everybody, welcome back to Celebrate Sausage. In today's episode, we're going to be making white pudding. White pudding is a sausage that's incredibly popular in Ireland, Scotland, and parts of England. Much like Weisswurst is in Germany and boudin blanc in France, white pudding is a white sausage. Now, depending on where you go, the recipes vary from region to region and country to country. Sometimes you'll find beef and pork ground into it, but often you'll just find fat, oatmeal, barley, and some onions. So in today's recipe, I'm going to show you how we make white pudding.
To make this version of white pudding, we're going to start off with some pork back fat. Notice that our back fat has been cut into small pieces, and that's so that it's easier to run through the grinder, and each piece has been properly chilled, just above frozen. And that's to ensure that our fat doesn't smear as we grind it on a 6mm plate. As soon as we're done grinding it, I'm going to put that back in the freezer, and in a small pot on the stovetop, we're going to add some barley to our chicken stock, bring it to a simmer, and cook it until our barley is nice and tender. It's now time to prepare our leeks. This is our leek, and if you happen to get a leek that still has its root structure on it, even if it's just barely showing, just a couple small pieces of roots, you could take that, stick it right in the ground, and you'll have your very own leek garden. You're going to want to trim your leeks just where the stalk starts to fan out. Slice your leek lengthwise to reveal the center cut of the plant, and often as this particular plant grows, a lot of dirt can accumulate in between each one of those layers. So you definitely want to rinse that off really well before you cut it. And with the flat side down, slice the leek lengthwise, and then go ahead and turn it and chop it into small pieces. All we're going to do here is saute this in a little bit of olive oil. We're not doing anything too special with the leeks at this point. We just want to soften them up and give them a little bit of color. Check your barley to see if it's soaked up all that chicken stock. It should have a nice bouncy texture. It shouldn't be too soft. And it looks like mine is just about perfect. Let's go ahead and look at all the ingredients. We have our back fat that's been ground, 6mm. We have our sauteed leeks, and we have our barley that's been cooked in chicken stock. And at this point, all we're going to do is add our seasonings. Now, the recipe will be in the description box below. And to our seasonings, we're going to add our flour and our cornstarch. Now, what this is going to do, this is going to act as the thickening agent and really the substance for this particular sausage. All we're going to do here is mix our ingredients together until they are relatively well incorporated. Once that happens, we're going to come back with our milk and continue to mix. This is where things get a little messy. Your white pudding mix is going to turn into a gloopy, sticky batter, and that's exactly what we're looking for. You can thin it a little bit with a little more milk, but you don't want to thin it too much. At this point, we're going to put that into our sausage stuffer and stuff our natural hog casings. This process is pretty straightforward. As soon as I'm done with my batter, and I only made about 1 kilo in this particular recipe, and I'm going to divide that one link into 2 links, and if you wanted, you can make 3 or 4 smaller links. It's up to you. This is what our white pudding is going to look like, and at this point, we're just going to go take them and give them a little poaching. Our poaching rules, if you've been keeping up with this series, we're going to poach it at 170 to 176 degrees Fahrenheit for 1 minute for every millimeter that our casing is wide. In this particular case, these are 36 millimeter casings, so we're going to poach this for 34 to 36 minutes. And once again, this rule applies to all sausages that are poached. Once you're completely finished, you can actually take it, cool it down, refrigerate it, or freeze it for later use. This is, in essence, a cooked sausage at this point. But we're not completely done because we're going to take this white pudding one step further. This is what our white pudding looks like as soon as it's come out of the poaching liquid. And ideally, if you allow it to cool overnight in the fridge, it does have a tendency to firm up a little bit more, which makes it a little bit easier to cook. But I got to be honest, I'm dying to know what this tastes like. So here is our white pudding. I'm just going to slice that lengthwise. You could slice this into discs however you want. And we're going to sear that on a cast iron skillet with a little bit of cooking oil, and the nature of this sausage with the flour and the cornstarch should provide an excellent crispy texture on the outside as it begins to basically fry on the cast iron skillet. Our white pudding is officially done. This is what it's going to look like. I got to be honest, it smells absolutely incredible. The outside of this white pudding is incredibly crispy, and the inside is warm and soft. Let's taste it. Here we go. Okay, I'm not even sure how to describe this because it's so strange and different than anything I've ever eaten, but it's so good. Wow.
White pudding has got to be one of the strangest sausages that I think I've ever made. It firms up just like a sausage should, but it doesn't have the same texture. It's something completely different. You've got the bounce from the barley, the seasoning, and that bready type bite. Just makes it completely unique. I don't think I've ever had anything quite like it. If you want to try this recipe out, check out the link in the description box below. And if you got any questions, leave them in the comments section. Thanks for being here. And don't forget to stick around because tomorrow, same time, same place, we got a brand new sausage. See you tomorrow.